Okay, this is the final, the ending of the variation on the spiral hat, where I've done what I call a thermal stitch, which is alternating front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop. Did the basic spiral hat pattern, and in the previous video I had only taken it to let's see, what is it? I think it's round, yeah, round 6, where I had 54, and I decided to chance that I had enough of this color C, and I ripped it out and went back and I increased to 66, so that I had 22 of each color in this final round before I started what I'm calling the cascade stitch, which is this 6, well, I'm doing half double crochets because I'm doing a chemo hat, and these are doubles, the 4 in the middle and then the half doubles on each end, followed by 6 single crochets that are done in the back loop. All of the double and half doubles are done in the front loop. I did that all the way around, and what I want to show is my ending. Instead of doing a band with single or with ribbing, or with a band with half double crochets worked in the third loop, that here's your front loop, back loop, and right there's your third loop on a half double crochet, and you're basically working, if you were doing that, you'd work the next round of half double crochets into that loop, and it gives a really nice effect. But instead I decided to just, okay, what I did after weaving in ends, that is what I had left of color C. Did have quite a bit left of color B. This is color A. And what I did was, let's see, here's where I ended color C. And before I did anything else, I took the yarn, put it on a yarn needle, and I wove it in. I think I actually wove it in all the way back. And there, it's working its way out. I went this way and then I came around and came back up. I'll have to trim that later. But it's not going to come out, even if that comes loose. It's not big here. I have a scissor. There we go. Okay, that was color, there. That was color C, and back here I ended color B and did the same thing. So I continued on around as long as I could continue in pattern. I did. You can see I did pattern here, here, here. Oh, and in the, when I ended off, I switched from, on the very last one, I was only doing half double crochets, and then the last 2 I did single crochets to gradually end off, and I did the same with the with color B. I did half double crochets and then 2 singles, and then I did a slip stitch into here, and then I wove in all the way back. So when I started went back to the thermal stitch actually, and I worked in pattern as long as I could on this round here, and then after that I just switched and went to, because I couldn't continue in pattern because I'd already done single crochets in the back loop, and this was to continue in pattern. I would have had to done single crochets in the back loop here, and that would have messed the pattern up anyway, so I just switched at that point right here, and I started doing front loop, back loop, front loop, back loop, the thermal stitch basically, or what I'm calling thermal stitch, because I'm not, as far as I know, I made it up. I haven't done it in any other pattern or seen it anywhere. So I'm continuing on around, and I'm basically doing this pretty much visually, figuring out where to end. But here, see here, it's very skinny looking, so I'm definitely going to go that far. Oops. Just doing that thermal stitch. Front loop, back loop. Front loop, back loop. Okay. Right here is actually just happens to be the, basically because that's where I ended this, and it was totally by accident. I didn't plan this, but this is actually the ending of the top rounds, the ending of the top of the hat, right there, the top spiral part. Here's where the cascade pattern begins. And so what I'm going to do now, because this is evened out, this doesn't look as skinny anymore, and what I'm going to do now is in these last 2 stitches, 2 or 3 or whatever it seems to need, I'm going to stay in pattern, but I'm going to switch to single crochets. Okay, and let's do one more, and then slip stitch into that one, and slip stitch into that one. Actually, I think I'm going to do a couple more singles. I think it'll look better, more even. There. Okay, and then do my slip stitches. And now I would cut the yarn and weave in the ends. And if you hold this up and it comes out fairly even at the bottom. Nobody's head is exactly even anyway, but makes a nice soft hat. Again, this is the one that's made with the scraps of I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. Oops. So we'll pull that through so it doesn't pull out. And we have a nice long tail to weave in, and lots of room here to weave it in. So that is the end of the variation on the spiral hat, with the thermal stitch variation at the top and the cascade variation along the sides, and ending with the thermal stitch variation for the bottom band.